The perfect facade. Daniel Carter was the kind of boyfriend every girl dreamed of. Charming, attentive, and devastatingly handsome. He had a way of making women feel like they were the only person in the world when he focused his deep green eyes on them. But beneath that polished exterior was something far darker. Maeve Hart had been dating Daniel for 6 months, and at first, everything was perfect. He brought her flowers, remembered her favorite coffee order, and whispered sweet promises into her ear. But then the cracks began to show. The way his grip on her wrist tightened just a little too much when she talked to another guy. The way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes when she mentioned her friends. One night after a small argument over dinner, Maeve made the mistake of saying she needed space. Daniel's expression went eerily calm. "You don't mean that," he said softly, his fingers tracing the edge of his steak knife. Maeve shivered, but held her ground. "I do. I think we should take a break." Daniel's smile was slow, dangerous. "No, Maeve. You're not going anywhere." The first cut 3 days later, Maeve was reported missing. Her roommate, Lisa, was the one who called the police. She never came home after her date with Daniel, she told the detectives, her voice shaking. He said he dropped her off, but that's not true. Something's wrong. Lisa's hands trembled as she handed over Maeve's phone, untouched since that night. She wouldn't just disappear. She was scared of him. Detective Rebecca Morales took the case, her gut tightening as she scanned Maeve's apartment. Neat, ordinary, except for the shattered photo frame in the trash. A picture of Maeve and Daniel, glass splintered across their smiling faces. Morales had seen enough domestic violence calls to know that boyfriends were always the first suspects. But Daniel was smooth, polite, cooperative, the picture of a concerned partner. When they brought him in for questioning, he was already prepared, his alibi airtight. Dinner at a crowded restaurant, a receipt timed perfectly, security footage of them leaving separately. "I wish I knew where she was," he said, running a hand through his hair, his voice laced with just the right amount of distress. "We had a little fight, but I thought we were okay." His green eyes glistened. Was that a tear or just practiced? Morales didn't buy it. Then she noticed it, the faintest smear of red under his thumbnail. Too dark for ketchup. Too deliberate. To be an accident. And the way his fingers kept twitching, as if itching to wrap around something or someone again. The unraveling. Then the texts started. Maeve's phone sent sporadic messages to her friends. "I just need time alone. Don't worry about me." The words were flat, devoid of Maeve's usual warmth. No emojis, no inside jokes, just cold, clipped sentences sent at odd hours. Lisa knew instantly. Maeve would never just disappear. Not without telling her. Not without her favorite hoodie, her dog-eared copy of the bell jar, the half-finished painting still leaning against their living room wall. Morales dug deeper. She pulled Daniel's records, her stomach twisting as she uncovered a disturbing pattern. An ex-girlfriend in Colorado, another in Oregon, both vanishing after heated breakups. No bodies, no evidence, just ghost stories of women who had loved the wrong man. The files were thin, the investigations long since gone cold, but the similarities were undeniable. Meanwhile, Daniel was growing restless. He paced his apartment, The walls suddenly too close, the silence too loud. Maeve was supposed to be a quiet lesson, a way to make sure his next girlfriend understood the consequences of leaving him. But now the cops were sniffing around, asking about his past, circling like vultures. He could feel them tightening the noose with every question, every sideways glance. His phone buzzed, another unknown number. His jaw clenched. They were tracing his calls now. He hurled the phone against the wall, the screen shattering like his carefully constructed facade. Time was running out, and Daniel hated losing control. The basement Maeve wasn't dead. Not yet. Daniel had taken her to a secluded cabin deep in the woods, a place he'd bought under a fake name. She was locked in the basement, wrists raw from the ropes, throat sore from screaming. "You shouldn't have tried to leave me," Daniel murmured, crouching in front of her. His fingers brushed her cheek and she flinched. "We were perfect together." Maeve spat in his face. Daniel backhanded her so hard her vision blurred. Then he sighed, standing. "I really hoped you'd learn." The detectives moved. Morales got the break she needed when a gas station clerk near the cabin recognized Daniel's photo. "Yeah, he comes in sometimes," the clerk said. "Always buys a ton of supplies. Creepy guy." Armed with a search warrant, Morales and her team stormed the cabin. Daniel wasn't there, but Maeve was. She was barely alive, dehydrated and bruised, but she gasped when she saw the officers. "He's coming back," she whispered. "He said he's coming back. Tonight." Morales radioed for backup. They would wait. The end of the road, Daniel returned just after midnight, whistling as he carried groceries inside. He froze when he saw the police cars. For a split second he considered running, but then he smiled. They had nothing concrete. Maeve wouldn't talk. He'd made sure of that. He was wrong. As the officers arrested him, Daniel locked eyes with Maeve, who stood wrapped in a blanket, tears streaming down her face. "You're not going home," she whispered. For the first time, Daniel felt real fear. Epilogue: Daniel Carter was sentenced to life in prison. Maeve survived, but the scars, both physical and emotional, never fully faded. As for Detective Morales, she made sure Daniel's other victims were remembered, because monsters like him didn't stop until someone made them, and this time he wasn't going home.